After everything that went down at Backlash, I slept on it and realized we've got an emergency on our hands, and it's been too long since that siren blared in all its glory. Welcome to a Notsam Wrestling emergency podcast post-Backlash, where we look at what is going on in the gentle mental of John Cena. To me, Backlash was a very important moment for John Cena and for the character that we have seen John Cena be since Elimination Chamber. There have been doubters behind it. There have been people whose take has been, well, I don't like where this John Cena character is going, or I don't find it authentic, or a myriad of different things. There have been other people going, finally, we get to see it. This is, how fun is it that in his last run, we get this thing that as fans we asked for so long, a heel John Cena. Let's see where this goes. Well, to me, I feel like a lot got accomplished at Backlash last night, and I think for me the most interesting part it was we talk about 3 acts, and to me the Randy Orton match had within it 3 acts. But really, we'll talk about the Randy Orton match more on episode 551 when it drops. That's not what the emergency podcast is all about. But there were 3 distinct acts in that match. I think Act 1 is the beginning of the match. Act 2 starts when Randy drops Cena in with the RKO coming out of the Attitude Adjustment. And I think Act 3 started, this is just on the top of my head, I would have to rewatch the match, but I think Act 3 started with Randy Orton finding the other folding table and dropping John Cena with the Attitude Adjustment through the folding table, because that's when I think the Chad Patton referee bumps was Act 2. Act 3 is the whole final portion of the match. But there were 3 acts within the John Cena story as well. Act 1 was the Randy Orton match. Act 3 was John Cena putting R-Truth through a table. Act 2 was, to me, what this emergency podcast is all about. Because Act 2 was everything between the John Cena promo post-match and the R-Truth interruption at the press conference, because something clicked in. I think what we're witnessing with this John Cena character is a slow, methodical, but full and complete crash out. And a John Cena crash out looks a lot different from a Jey Uso crash out, from a Paul Heyman crash out. A John Cena crash out, look, we all saw the reality show, Total Divas, Total Bellas, whichever one it was. Anybody that watched that reality show has seen hints of the John Cena heel character that was running through his House Rules, okay? This sort of non-emotional, fully in control, clicked in, robotic human being that I believe was amped up for television then, and I believe is being amped up for television now. But control has always been a key part of John Cena, and putting that in front of his emotions has always been a key part of John Cena. When John Cena was a babyface and he was getting booed half the time, it was about just putting his head down, not getting emotional about it, understanding that people are allowed to make the noises that they want to make, and doing his work. It has always been about doing his work. And as a heel now, as soon as John Cena turned on Cody Rhodes, now it is about putting his head down and doing the work that he is committed to do as the last real WWE champion, and ruining wrestling as he said he was going to do. The only problem is that everything we know about John Cena and who this character is a guy who doesn't want to ruin wrestling, is a guy that loves wrestling, is a guy that has acknowledged many, many, many times that wrestling has given him everything. How many video packages started with John Cena as a little kid holding up that championship belt that he made out of tinfoil and cardboard? That's the real life John Cena. So you've got to imagine that real life John Cena exists within this character as well, because that real life John Cena existed in the previous character that we saw with John Cena. what we saw post-match, right, is John Cena beats Randy Orton with a low blow and a shot to the head with the WWE Championship title. Same way he beat Cody Rhodes. For me, I'm watching this, as I think a lot of longtime fans are watching this, with a certain hint. I went out of my way to try to not fully be in the singular moment of, May 10th, 2025, coming off of the go-home SmackDown, coming off of WrestleMania, and tried to at least spend a little bit of time mentally in the space of, wow, this is a 20-year story that we're seeing a bow put on, because that's what it felt like to me. Will there be another John Cena, Randy Orton match? It's possible. There's whatever there is, 25 John Cena appearances left. Could another Randy Orton match sneak into those 25 appearances? It could, but it also might not. And so a big part of me was like, let me enjoy this as a bow to one of the great rivalries of the past couple of decades. And that's kind of how I was enjoying it, and I think the match lived up to that, and I think the finish, being what it was, lived up to the character that John Cena is playing now, and I think there was some irony in the idea that it was John Cena that pulled all these tricks and not Randy Orton. However, I think that for the John Cena character to be truthful, the idea that this all wouldn't occur to him as well is a little bit ludicrous, right? This idea that he's just here to ruin wrestling is a little bit one-dimensional. The idea that he's just here to throw this temper tantrum is a little bit almost too simple. And to anybody that thought that, just look at what's going on around John Cena between the promo that he cut and the press conference. And specifically the R-Truth part of the press conference, right? Because he cuts this promo where he talks about needing competition. It's a heel promo. Done. Except then he gets out of the ring, and there's this moment where it's almost like a glitch in the Matrix. There's this moment where he's looking down at the title, and he's listening as the audience, who were just booing him, are also chanting, "Thank you, Cena." And that's the audience going, yes, we are on board for the story that's being told now. We cheered Randy. We booed John. When you won the match, we booed you. When the chicanery came in, we booed it. We accept that you're a villain and we don't like you. However, we're also stepping out of that now that the match is over, and we are realizing that this is the last time you're in St. Louis. We are realizing that we're all wearing this merch because we're celebrating something that a lot of us who have been around for a while lived with for a very long time. And a lot of us never fathomed the idea of Cena's not going to wrestle in this town anymore. And there was almost this moment where John Cena is looking down at that championship and hearing the thank you Cenas and realizing what he is doing. Realizing that somebody who dedicated himself, his life, the whole thing, to building, has now decided to take the last 365 days of his in-ring career and destroy. And at some point, any destroyer, which is what John Cena is if he wants to ruin wrestling, who has any humanity left in him, has to question whether destruction is the best path, whether coming from this selfish place where I am ending this because I am leaving this is really what I want to be doing. And when he looked down at that title, his face changed. And he looked up from the title and his face changed. And it changed in a way where I've got this feeling in my gut that says what I'm doing is wrong, except I don't want to change it. I don't want to go back. People ask, right? And this is part of it. You know, like Cena's heel for 2 weeks and people are going, I don't know. It wasn't earned. I don't believe it. Cena's got 7 months left to tell this story and people are going, how's he going to be a babyface later? I don't know. As opposed to just letting it play out and let's talk about what we're seeing right in front of us in this moment. And we can sort of a fantasy book like we did last week on the pod. This could happen and that could happen and this could happen. But it's always this could, what if, not I don't think so. Because now we're already seeing cracks in this facade that the real John Cena may sneak out of. Because as he's walking down the aisle after this match, it feels like realization is hitting him. That these days, these appearances that are counting down are not just counting down for us, for the audience, but they are counting down for John as well. The idea that John was acting selflessly this entire time, that John was performing for our benefit and wasn't getting anything out of it himself is ludicrous. Nobody does this without loving it. And John has committed to ending this thing that he loves. And I think that if you look at this character's face, there was that in there. There was the idea of destroying in there. There was the idea of, no matter how I try. And I think that's going to be the story. It's crucial to this story. People go, wow, they're not even all booing him. That's good. Because crucial to the story is going to be the moment where John Cena goes, I turned on you and you still have my back. And we're all going to love hearing that. When that all the way clicks in, when this crash out is complete and it all the way clicks in, we stop glitching and the computer fixes itself, because that's what it was like. It wasn't like somebody having this emotional breakthrough. It was like a computer glitching and trying to process, right? John Cena has installed the heel John Cena program. And of course, we're talking all character, right? John Cena has installed the heel John Cena program. But feelings, which is what the emergency podcast is all about, feelings, and we've got them, he's got them too. And there are glitches in the system now because these feelings are interfering with the plan that the program was installed to fully execute. And he walks out, he walks back down the aisle wondering, is this the way that I want to go? I think that's what I'm putting with the idea that he's glitching out. That's why he's glitching out. And then it was almost like this is why I say crashing out, because he's having an emotional meltdown, this John Cena character. Because now, after he shows up, these press conferences are also, and people say what they want about the press conferences. As far as I'm concerned, if you can use everything that the WWE has can be used for everything, right? Press conferences should be used as a narrative device, but you can also have real media in there. If The Rock wants to go out there and go, hey, this is what's really happening. We're going to break the fourth wall and I'm going to tell you what this character is doing. That's fine. If John Cena wants to go, hey, here's a moment to further the narrative that we're doing because we've got eyes on this, that's fine too. And if anything, the fact that it's a mixed bag kind of adds to it. I think we're doing a similar thing on the Raw Recap podcast. Look at the Backlash podcast, there's mixing and matching going on there. We did this amazing interview with Jacob Fatu on the Backlash Recap podcast that just came out on the Raw Recap podcast feed. And it's like, it's the real guy. It's the real Jacob Fatu. But also, there are moments where he's clearly using it as a narrative device. That's the beauty of wrestling. You can move with the wave. You can go back and forth. I mean, I feel like you're going to find people who, if kayfabe's being broken at a press conference, they're going, this ruins wrestling. If kayfabe is being maintained at a press conference, they're going to go, what's the point of these press conferences? It's like, relax, dude. You don't need to be grumpy about everything. It's all good. So he gets to the press conference and the story of John Cena can also be told in these press conferences. At the Royal Rumble press conference, the goofy John Cena face, because he was goofy John Cena face, coming off of Money in the Bank last year, all into this year. Goofy John Cena face, 24/7. Goofy John Cena face finally left at the Royal Rumble press conference, And he goes, what's best for business is me main eventing WrestleMania. I'm going to do it at the Elimination Chamber. I'm going to declare. Every single other person had to win a qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber, not John Cena, because he declared at the Royal Rumble press conference. And Triple H said, if John Cena wants to do it, John Cena can do it. Okay? So where do you go for the first little sprinkling of John Cena's turning heel? Royal Rumble press conference. Elimination Chamber press conference comes up. You have The Rock going on for, again, whatever it was, 20, 25 minutes about sort of what is going on. John Cena, no more goofy face, bad guy face. John Cena comes in, drops the mic, splits. That's the second instance of bad guy John Cena press conference. We get to WrestleMania press conference. John Cena comes in and just tells every single journalist in the room, well, that I think that's a clickbait question. I'm not going to take the bait on that. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to comment on that. Won't do it for anyone. Then we get to Backlash press conference. And at Backlash press conference, John Cena references all of the other press conferences and saying, look, I haven't been good. And it was almost like, if you're paying attention and everything counts, it was a spill-off of what we just saw in the main show going into the post show. What we just saw of John Cena looking like he was experiencing self-doubt in his whole plan. He goes into the press conference and goes, I haven't been good to you guys. If I'm going to be the last real WWE champion, then I have to do it the right way. I have to respect what you guys are doing and the fact that you guys are helping us push our product and that you guys are talking about our product. And that's a good thing for us. So, look, I have to do right by you guys, is what he said. And it was almost like he had an emergency therapy session right before. I mean, the amount of therapy and therapy talk that is in this John Cena character is out of this world. It's fascinating to me. So John Cena has his emergency therapy session after the Randy Orton match, goes to the press conference, says, I have to do right by you guys if I'm going to really be this last champion that I say I'm going to be. And he starts taking questions. And the first journalist speaks up and asks him, and it was a good question, I thought, because I go, oh boy, and by the way, whatever, but sometimes these questions, the first question, and shout out to Muscle Man Malcolm, no shade. However, if John Cena says I have to do right by you guys, and the first question is, what's your Waffle House order? I don't know about that. If he gets hit with a Waffle House order question later in the press conference, I'm okay with it. But the first question, and I just use that as an example, Malcolm, don't be mad at me. But the first question was talking about the match. And also, I thought the best part of the question was, did you and Randy have any words backstage? That is taking advantage of the fact that you're at the press conference. There is no reason at the press conference for you to be helpful. If they want to maintain, this fourth wall, that's on them to maintain the fourth wall. You are not part of the show. Same way when I was in there in the press conference at Elimination Chamber and I got the opportunity to talk to The Rock, there was no part of me that was like, okay, I'm going to ask helpful questions to further a storyline. It was like, this is the same thing I'd be asking The Rock if you're in the basement right now. And I loved that question was, did you and Randy talk after the match? Because it's like, okay, now we're not talking about storylines anymore. We're talking about the fact that you and Randy just had that moment. And as John Cena is about to answer, here comes R-Truth. And John's kind of smiling. I mean, it's masterful. He's kind of smiling with Truth when Truth brings up all their history. And, John Cena has enjoyed, and we've seen R-Truth with the Let's Go Cena signs on SmackDown, and Jimmy Uso trying to explain to Truth that John Cena is a bad guy now, which is like, the fact that people are saying, Truth, John's a bad guy now, is like so meta. It's crazy. It's so much fun. And Truth goes, I've always supported you. I've always been on your side. I've always been this. And Cena's like smiling and nodding. And he goes, even though they say that you suck and you can't wrestle. And that's when Cena snaps. That's when the therapy goes out the window. That's when everything that was going on in Cena's head between his promo and this moment goes away, and he's back now because he's triggered, to use other psychology terms. R-Truth just reminded him of all of this. R-Truth, in saying that, just reminded him of what all these fans have been saying. R-Truth just reminded him of why he turned in the first place. I think for a moment, John Cena said, I shouldn't be this guy. And then R-Truth, because he's R-Truth, by mistake, reminded him of why he thinks he should be this guy. And he used his government. He says, Ron, you crossed the line. If you say another word, there's going to be consequences. R-Truth says another word. Boom. AA through the table at the press conference. John Cena walks out. We had John Cena feeling remorse. We had John Cena finally in a position where he was ready to do right. And R-Truth screwed it up for all of us by reminding John of why he's doing this. However, that's all to say that at Backlash, we saw that there are holes in this Cena character. There are holes in this narrative. And that dam is not as strong as John Cena is making it appear. And there is water building up behind that dam. If there is anything to take away from Act 2 of the John Cena story at Backlash, it is that dam, that wall will come crumbling down before the end of the year. We, in my opinion, will absolutely see John Cena come back to the fans before the end of the year. Because that grudge that he's got against us for saying what we said is not strong enough, and we saw that at Backlash. We also got left with a question, and this question is going to be the most fun, wild speculation question in a long time. We were all asking, what if Randy Orton were to beat John Cena? Okay, and a lot of it was like, yeah, that could happen because it's Randy Orton, but this is Cena's first title defense. It is fair game. It's on the table to wildly speculate, what if R-Truth were to win the WWE Championship from John Cena? That is a question amongst many others that we will tackle 24 hours from now on episode 551 of Notsam Wrestling. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to hear all my opinions on Backlash. Megan Morant and I recorded immediately after Backlash. The Backlash Recap podcast is up on the Raw Recap audio feed as well as WWE's YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to this audio feed, Not Sam Wrestling, as well as Not Sam Wrestling on YouTube. And we will see you Monday morning with the full Not Sam Wrestling. Thank you, everybody.